Okay, so now we're gonna be working with the bottom. All right. So I just realized, let's work with the top and then the bottom, then we're gonna start a cut, okay? So what I want you guys to do, the first thing I want you guys to do is to get the waist measurement. Doesn't really matter in this case for the bottom. What matter for the waist measurement is the sleeves, is the blouse on the top, which we calculate already. So don't worry about waist measurement for the skirt, because everything's gonna be gathered in. The goal is that it fits the blouse. That's it. Take your waist measurement and multiply it by 3 to see how much gathered you want. Or if you have a waist like me, like my empire is like 38, you could go 3 yards if you want. But the best, to get the best, if you're not a person that you don't want too much gathered, you would always go like half a yard less from the gathered. But for this now, the dress that we're making now, I measure my empire multiplied by 3. So it's 38 multiplied by 3, right? So I get about 140, 114, I think, something like that. So that's all you're gonna concern about. So that's the amount of measurement you're gonna cut out for the length. Now, for the width, right? The width, the long width. Now, for the length now, this is what I have the mannequin here. Is how low you want your garments to go. Like for me now, my skirt, I would say, okay, I would tell the person who's measuring me, maybe down to the end of this skirt, right? So that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna put your tape on the mannequin or on the individual, and you would tell them, okay, I want it as low as this. I want it as low as this. Let's say you want it at 33, right? Let's say the length of your skirt, you want it at 33, right? Add at least 3 inches to that 33, okay? So if it's 33 is the length you want, add 3 inches to that. All right. Now, if you're using a lace garment, all this is that you don't have to put lace if you don't want to. But if you're using a lace and you don't require hemming for the lace, like this is my lace here, right? So the bottom is already nice and pretty there, so I'm not going to be hemming the lace itself. So what you want to do for the lace now, you want to make sure you go at least 2 inches longer than the actual skirt measurement. So let me explain. So if the skirt here I want is 33, and you could go 20, 25. The goal is that add 3 inches extra. That's it. So if it's 25, 26, 27, 28, your cut will be 28. If it's 20, then it will be 23. That's my goal. So the length of your skirt, right? So I'm just gonna, let me just go 33, 34, 35, 36. So 36 will be my cut. Now, if I'm putting lace, I'm gonna make it like 30. You could go 2 inches extra, right? 2 inches extra would be fitting. So if you put in lace, then you want to make sure the lace is at least 2 inches longer than the actual skirt garment. And as we're putting it together, you would understand even better. So now, I hope that making sense. So if it's a cut of 30, you're going to add 3 inches more to that, for instance, right? So that would be 33, right? And if you have your lace garment, which that is already have the finishing, right? You're going to just leave an extra. So the lace would be 33, 34, 35, for instance. You're just going to make sure you have a little bit 2 inches longer, just a little bit longer itself. Okay, so all right, so that's it. So next thing I want to show you now is when you're cutting the garment, when you're cutting the length. So I'm just going to do this here as a sample here. So your width here is going to be that your waist measurement times 3, right? So that would be the width, the top of the skirt. Your waist measurement is times 3, right? So you're going to be long. This one is just a sample. So long, 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 right? Times 3. And then the length now, so I'm just going to put it on me here. The length now, and I'm going to just go with 30. Let's say I wanted 30. Let's say down here is 30, for instance. Let's say from here, the length I want here now, right? Let's say I want 30 in length. The person is going to measure and say, okay, here is 30 in length. Then from here, I'm going to add 3 inches. So it's going to be 30, 31, 32, 33. So my full cut here going to be 33. Okay, so my full cut here, right, as I'm going to put the garment on me, going to be 33 in full length down. And then across here, that's to go around my body, it's going to be my waist, my empire measurement times 3. So if it's 30, multiply by 3, and that would be your cut. I hope that makes sense. All right, so let's go into how many pieces you need to cut now for the bottom piece. Okay, so this is my bottom piece now. So I have to do it on the floor so you can see. So this long piece here, see, come to the end here. So all this is my waist times 3 because it's a gather. I'm gathering everything in, right? So I'm just going to pull it down. And I'm going to show you how many pieces I cut. So let me hope I could bring it back here. So I'm going to pull it down here. So that will be my full length. And you don't have to do that. I'm just doing this just because I wanted to show you the full length itself, okay? So this is how we're going to do it. So this would be my front piece that everyone would see here, okay? Now I have my lace, which I cut at 2 inches extra. So this is my lace here. So put down my lace. Then I have my garment. So the garment would be the fabric that I have, the main fabric. So that would be here. Then I have tools. So these tools now, and again, you would cut everything the same thing. The tools, you could just go 5 inches less because we're not going to fold the tools to the back. So the tools, you could just have 1 piece. I cut 2 pieces here. So I have 1 piece and then 2 pieces, right? You could have 1 piece. So the tool itself, you can get into any fabric store. And the tool now, I really want the thread to come out a bit. So that's why I put the tool. And I put two tools here. Then you want to have lining. Now the lining look really rampant, don't worry about that. It would be this, no one would see the lining and it's black. So no one would see the lining at all because it would be the farthest, it would be inside the garment. And we have 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 piece, 4 piece, 5 layers, right? So you could just go 4 layers. You could just get 1 piece of tool, that's fine. But make sure you have a lining on top of the tools. Okay, so I'm hoping you're seeing that well. So what I'm going to do to get this prepared now, and if you look here, that I have my lace just a little bit longer than the garment here, right? Just a little bit longer. Just a little bit longer here. Okay? So I have my lining, my tool, my fabric, and my lace. So I have it laid down. This would be the outside. Keep that in mind. So this would be the outside. This would be the, well, this would be the inner piece. So again, I'm just gonna sew. This is the lining. This is my tool. I have 2 pieces. You could also get 1 piece, that's fine. This is my fabric. And this is my lace. So this would be outside. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Okay guys, so now we're gonna be dealing with the bottom piece now. So remember I have it long on the floor. Just gonna push this up here, right? So what I've done, I connect all these together with a pin, right? So I'm just gonna pull out 1 pin here to show you what I've done. So I have, of course, as my lace, my fabric, and then my lining. Now my tool is on the inside. Remember I said leave some space because we don't want the tool to come way to the end. So it's the same thing, you want to leave some space on both ends. So the tool's supposed to be a couple inches away from the end, from the other end. So I pin all of them together like this, right, all the way to the very end, right? I pin it together. Now this is what I'm going to do now. I am going to just take my needle and I thread it. I put a long thread in it, so I'm hoping that the long thread would really help me out. Okay, so I'm gonna be doing the gathered here, right? So I'm just gonna be gathering with needle and thread. So that's all I'm gonna be doing. And as I'm going, I'm gonna take out the pin. You have to take out your pin as you go. So and the reason why I do that first, if you just have one fabric, then you may not need to do the pin first before you gather. You could just gather it all in one. But because I have different layers of fabric, hence the reason for my pinning. See? Right, so the pin all the way down. So okay, so I'm just gonna show you this angle so you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. Taking out my pin as I go along. So I am gathering just the waist part, right? It's all the waist part here. So even though it pull out, like it's relaxed itself, that's fine. So let me just take out this here. So it's becoming heavy because there's a lot of fabric I have. Almost coming to the end. Still have a bit, but it's going. Check out my pins. And the other thing is you just have to be careful that the weight of the fabric don't bust the thread, or else you have to do everything all over again. So if you have a flat surface and you want to put it down on the flat surface, it's even good, and it's even more convenient. On a broad table or your bed, or I don't know, somewhere that could you know that the pin don't stay. That make sure you take out all your pins and stuff like that. See, this is the end here, so I'm almost to the end. Now it's the fabric is getting even more heavy because it's almost to the end, and the weight of the thread, it's, yeah. Okay, so okay, so we are finished here, right? So all this here, it have to fit the waist, right? So all this, let's put it there so you can see here. So all this here have to fit the waist. So that's it here. I have it here. All these gather in. All right. So the next thing we're gonna do now, we're gonna fit it to the blouse itself. So, okay. And then we'll do the hemming after. So don't worry about we didn't do the hemming as yet. We'll definitely do it. I just want you guys to see this and take your time to do that. And make sure you don't bust the thread as you do it. Okay, so we're gonna be putting our, we can put it down now. Settle it down. Right, this is our gathered here. Right, so I still have my thread intact, so I'm just gonna pull it to kind of settle some of the gathered. I'm just gonna put it here so you can see what I'm doing here. So it's heavy, so I want to make sure that, yeah, all right, what I have here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, so to put it, see in the bottom here, right? So from here to here, right? I'm gonna make sure I'll take my, this is my blouse, right? My blouse. So now with the blouse, I'm gonna take right sides of the blouse, touching the right side of the garment, right? So right sides touching the right sides, right? So this is the raw edge here for me to put in the gathered here. So I'll touch right side to right side, and I want to make sure that the skirt is gathered to fit with the blouse. Okay, so let me start. You remember we have at least 2 inches in to make sure it's straight here. What I would do, I'll make sure it's 3 inches straight from this edge. So from this edge here, coming at least 3 inches straight, right? So this is what I'm gonna do. Again, you want to make sure that everything is settled. So what I would ask you to do, you could also take a pin, but you want to make sure that when you pin, one is not high, one is low, right? So you want to take a pin and probably put a pin here. Just to stabilize this part, and you do it on the other end as well. Making sure everything's settled nicely. so when you sew, you don't miss some of the lace, and you don't want no drama at all. You don't want no headache. So take your time and you pin it down. Also make sure that the lining is pinned too. Okay. 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 All right, so now I'm gonna take this, put it over like this. Now I'm gonna start on the end here first, because I want to make sure that this is tailored. So I'm just gonna put it like this, and I use some of the pins that I have here. This must line up here. So you're not gonna take out the gathered thread as yet. You're gonna leave it in. So around 3 inches. 3.5 inches is fine. So I have around 3 inches. So about 3.5 inches of it straight here, right? Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. So here, about 3.5 inches straight. All right, match this up. The goal is that you make sure, because sometimes the lining is just a little extra. Don't worry about the extra there. Just make sure you line up the blouse and the main fabric. That is the key. All the little extra, we can always trim that out. All right. So now the main thing is so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use my so just observe what I'm gonna do. To band everything, I'm gonna leave it up here, because what I want now is the skirt to fit in here. So the galley is a little big, so I'm gonna use my needle and thread over here to kind of fit it in, because I want it to fit. So let me just pull out a bit, Everything must settle nicely. So I'm still thinking this is together in a little, pulling a little bit more. Just pulling a little bit more. So I pull it in here just to kind of, just don't bust the thread, okay? Settling, making sure that everything pulling nicely from here. Alright, let me just pull it here now, drag it on the table so you can see. Alright, just like that. This is how it is here. Just have to make sure that it's even, right? Okay, so I think it's fine. So my goal is that I want to make sure that this the 38 plus my allowances and all that, it fits together perfectly. Just straighten it nicely, and I think it looks good so far. So this is what I'm going to show you here. So you see, you're just gonna look at it to see, is the gather, sorry, even out? And to me, it looks okay. All right, it looks okay. So I'm gonna put it down. Then I'm gonna use my pins, and I'm gonna pin it down here. So now you gotta be pushing it down with the gap. You don't want, when you're gathering, you don't want anything straight except the edge, right? So everything had to be gathering nice and even. So always have to just look if one area have more gathered than the next. All right. So you would require to put actually a lot of pins. Some of my pins give me attitude, so I'll just pull some of the pin out here. Okay, so see, so I'm just gathering it up here. Beautiful. You always assess to make sure is it nice and straight. Yes, it is. All right. So see here. I'm just gonna pin it in here. I probably need to upgrade some pins. The pins on them is not easy. So I just want to make sure it's really nice and close. And also I have pins in the fabric too, so I could always take out some of the pins and pin down. So you see, I'm just gonna pin it together like that. Making sure that everything is nice and straight. There's nothing. All right, so let me come down here. Everything is still nicely gathered and everything is level. All right, good. So this project is it's a very easy project. Again, you don't have to use all the layers of fabric. You could just simply use one piece of fabric, and you just gather it for your first project if you wish. Or of course you could play all out. Yeah, why not? The project is very easy, that's for sure. I can tell you, it's not a hard project. Gathering is always easy. In some cases, of course. Okay, so I'm going places. What I'll do, I'll just randomly pin so far, then I'll come back and straighten everything up nicely. So again, with all this thickness, I'll be using my industrial machine. I know the Singer heavy duty machine is actually very, very good. That could handle a lot of layers. And there is something called the walking foot. The walking foot definitely could help with heavy layers, but the regular machine may not handle all the layers, so that's why I said you could go ahead and
definitely do the same dress and with just maybe 1 layer or 2 layer if you want. You don't have to use all the layers if you don't want to. This was our first try. So in this class, I wouldn't be showing you serging, not really, at least. Maybe as we go along, but for this dress, I won't show you serging. But if you have a serger, you could definitely go ahead and serge the raw edge. Yeah. So we come in here now, which is the end, and we're still straight, nice and straight, see? Nice and straight. So anyway that I jump the gun here, you see there's a free pass here. So the thing is, once you pin it close enough, it helps you kind of not to leave out in some cases. So this is okay. Okay, I'm just gonna assess it, see if it looks looking good to my eye so far. So I'll remove this. You see here is a bit straight from at least 3.5 inches. That's what I want here. Right, okay. And then we have here. Okay. So I'm gonna trim all of this out. And then we come here, we have about 3.5 inches. See, so I want it to be straight. There's no gap here. All right, so I'll trim all this out. So let's see here. Okay, just making sure that everything is all set there. Okay, just anything your eyes see that probably that maybe doesn't look right. Okay, so that's it there. All right, so that's pretty much it.